Hello and welcome to this first video of 2017. My name is Jennifer Vanderbeek. I blog at scrapsoflife.com and I'm also the owner and creator of the kits over at the Crafty Branch. This year I have created a bit of a challenge for myself, and that is to do one art journal page a week. I have created my own custom art journal for this. It's just a Coptic bound little book there that you see on my work surface, and hopefully I will be sharing a new video each week of the different layouts. Now this one I'm just starting with a couple of shades of like this light turquoisey sky blue of acrylic paint, and I'm just going to brush those over the background and see how they look together. They're very close, and so they blend really well, but there is some subtle differences between them. And then I am going to spritz on some Glimmer mist just to add a little shimmer. Now when I started this, I really didn't have a plan in mind. I had pulled the paints because they seemed pretty interesting, but otherwise I'm just kind of going along as things come to me. Once it was done and dry though, I thought, okay, this is definitely looking very watery, especially with the little drops of mist, the mica. So okay, we're going to make this an ocean scene. So I've got a Brilliance ink pad, a Memento ink pad, and a VesaFine, and I am using all three of those with this Stipple Brush that I've had in my stash for I don't even know how long, and I'm just kind of building up what is going to be my ocean floor. As you can see, I have a piece of paper below the sheet I'm working on. This is just in case I get a little too messy, which, well, I almost always get too messy when I'm painting, as you'll see as the video goes on. And yeah, so paper is actually pretty thick, so I didn't have to worry about bleeding too much, but just in case, you can see my edges got a little messy there. So I am going to use this stamp sets. I mean, I love anything monkey, but their stamp sets in particular are very fun. This is their Mermaids set, and so I'm just gonna kind of lay them out and see what might look like a good arrangement. Again, just kind of going as we go. Now I am stamping off each image on a piece of scratch paper. This is the first time I'm using this stamp set, which I think is going to be a really good use for this art journal this year. I have a bunch of stamp sets that I already own that I haven't used before, because I just sort of like went on a little bit of a stamp buying spree, and others that I just haven't gotten to play around with too much. So I think even if nothing else, if I'm just trying out a new stamp set, it'll be a good use for this journal for this year. Not being too careful when I stamp these. I'm not like going through the trouble of masking them so that the overlaps look, like they're in layers, because the stamped images aren't going to stand on their own. I know already that I'm going to do, and I mean that as when I was making this, I was like, I'm not going to worry about making sure everything was lined up perfectly. The stamps are actually going to serve a bit as a guide. I've got some just white gesso that I am just going to kind of fill in my stamped images, not completely. I'm gonna let the line show up. Oh, I wanted to mention that I didn't use black ink to stamp the figures. I have really been in love with the Memento Elderberry color. It's really, really deep purple, and it works great for doing outline stamps that you're going to color in later. Black can sometimes come across as too harsh or too stark, and so I like using the elderberry because it's a nice change. So as you can see, I filled in my camera battery died and my card filled up at about the same time. How convenient. So I had to do had to put things on pause while I fixed that, got everything switched over. But I finished coloring in with the gesso, and then I added some splatters to the background additional. The reason why I did that is because I wasn't sure how well the watercolor set, that is a Prima watercolor set, I believe it's their Tropicals, and I wasn't sure how well it was going to sit on top of the acrylic paint. In theory, it would do fine, but adding a white background to my stamped images gave it a, it meant that the colors didn't have to blend, that I wasn't having to work against that blue. I actually picked up this tip, and she does this on on her canvases. She'll paint the entire background, and sometimes this is a really dark background that she's painting, like blacks and dark blues and dark greens and things like that. And then she will mark out her the images in front, and she'll paint them in with white and then go over them with the color she intends, and it helps her not have to fight the backgrounds. And I thought that was just so smart. Now, it turns out that these Prima watercolors are really pretty well pigmented. I was impressed. And so I probably could have just laid them on top of the blue and been fine. But, this is an experiment. This is kind of what art journaling is about. At least in my case, I like to just kind of experiment and see what works well together. In fact, I do go a little off script there. I added some extra fronds, leaves, whatever, to the seaweed they're growing on the ocean floor. And yeah, the watercolors stand up perfectly against the blue background, so nothing to fear. I was also kind of working on against my own tendencies. I tend to be stingy with paint. When I paint with acrylic, I tend to not load up my brush real well, and I tend to not add enough water, so I'm always having to refill my brush, and I don't really get these great long flowy smooth swipes, and I was trying to work against that. But of course I'm working in small spaces and where you need to be a little bit more reserved with the water, with the paint. So yeah, but it all turned out okay. Now I'm of course doing some highlights with a white gel pen. I'm still searching for like my perfect gel pen. As you can see, I'm writing on the back of my hand. That's to clear the tip. I find that that's the most effective way. And then, even though I know I said that black can sometimes be a little too stark, I am a sucker for a good border. So I'm going back over some of the stamped images and reinforcing some of the lines that the paint has covered, just to make them stand out a little bit more, and just adding some details. This isn't a super complicated page. It's not a super layered page. I usually would go for a more layered page as opposed to a one-dimensional. But again, this is an art journal, so I'm going to experiment. And I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun doing this. And because I just can't help myself, I have to put words on pretty much everything I do, I just wrote a very simple, just floating along. And of course, sign everything. So yeah, that's my art journal page. This first page took just under an hour, judging by the raw footage I took, and we've condensed it down to 10 minutes. So obviously things have been sped up quite a bit. But I really hope you've enjoyed watching this progress video and that you'll tune in for others along the line. I really hope that I can keep up with filming and editing and getting them out in a timely manner. I know that hasn't always been my strong suit. But thank you once again for watching. If you liked this, please give us a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I do try and read and respond to everything. And you know what, guys, just have a great, creative, and awesome 2017. All right, see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.